It was one of those Saturdays where the town felt like it had been dipped in honey, slow, warm, and sticky, with the kind of comfort that makes you forget the world can turn sharp in an instant. The sun stretched across the rooftops, kids laughed near the park, and the smell of fried chicken from Johnson's Diner floated down Main Street. Folks were lingering outside shops, waving to neighbors, living like the world had promised them nothing but peace for the afternoon. And then came Maya Lewis, 16 tall for her age, with the kind of quiet grace that comes from always having to prove you belong. She had a brown paper bag in her hands, still warm from the sweet rolls she'd bought after her bakery shift ended. She walked that stretch of red brick sidewalk like she had a right to it, 'cause she did. But in a town like Briarwood, not everyone saw it that way. Leaning against a squad car parked outside the drugstore was Officer Dale Mercer. If you grew up here, you knew his name. If you didn't, you learned quick. He had the kind of reputation people talked about at dinner tables, never in detail, never too loud, but with words like too far and watch yourself scattered in the middle. Dale was broad-shouldered, pale-eyed, the brim of his hat always low, like he was sizing you up before you even spoke. He thrived on silence, on the way people's eyes dropped when he passed. When Maya walked by, he shifted his weight just enough for the leather of his belt to creak the sound carrying in that quiet street. "Hey," he said sharp enough that two kids riding bikes turned their heads. "You with the bag." Maya slowed. She hadn't done a thing wrong, but that tone was built to make you doubt yourself. She turned slightly. "From the bakery," she said, lifting the bag a little. "I just got off work." Dale's lips curled, not quite a smile. "You pay for it." That question hit harder than it sounded. She had the receipt in her back pocket, proof of every dollar, but in her gut, she knew this wasn't about bread. This was about him deciding who she was before she even opened her mouth. "I have the receipt, if you'd like to see it," she said carefully. He stepped closer, boots slow and deliberate. The world around them hushed like even the breeze knew better than to interrupt. "Step over here," he ordered, nodding toward the empty sidewalk beside his car. Maya's grip tightened on the bag. "I can show it to you right here." His jaw twitched. "You got something to hide, miss." Eyes were on her now, shop owners, a couple walking their dog, a man sipping coffee. She could feel the weight of their stares, some curious, some concerned, some just glad it wasn't them. She pulled the receipt out, held it steady. He snatched it, glanced, then folded it without a word. Wrote her name and address in his little notebook like she was a suspect, not a kid carrying pastries home to her mom. When she finally tried to step away, his voice followed. "Make sure that's the last time I have to stop you." It should have ended there. It didn't. She'd barely reached the corner when she heard the pounding of boots closing in behind her. Before she could turn, his hand cracked across her face. The sound tore through the street like a gunshot. Her head snapped sideways, the bag tumbled, sweet rolls scattering across the pavement. The crowd gasped. Someone's phone clicked. Maya lifted her hand to her cheek, her eyes wide, more stunned than angry. "Why did you do that?" she whispered. He looked at her like it was nothing. "Watch your tone." And that's when the air shifted, because not everyone could swallow it. Just a few feet away stood Samuel Briggs, 63 broad as a barn door, his old softball bat still in hand from the park. He'd served overseas, seen power twisted into cruelty, seen good people stand still because they were scared to act. But this was his own town. This was a girl he'd bought pie from on Sundays. And watching her stand alone in front of that uniform broke something open in him. He stepped forward, his voice calm but carrying, "Leave her alone." Heads turned. Dale's eyes locked on Sam. His hand brushed his baton. "Mind your business." Sam didn't blink. "She is my business." The crowd felt it like thunder rolling before the storm. Maya looked at Sam, torn between fear and gratitude. She whispered, "Yeah, I don't have to do this." Sam tightened his grip on the bat. "Yeah, I do." Dale's voice dropped sharp. "Last warning. Walk away before you regret it." Sam took one step closer. "Or what?" The words hung in the heat. People leaned in, phones raised higher. Dale's jaw clenched. His hand twitched toward his belt. And that was it, the line crossed. I don't know. In one motion, Sam swung. The bat cracked against the side of Dale's head, a sound so final it froze the air. The officer staggered, his baton clattering uselessly to the ground. Blood welled at his temple. The crowd gasped again, half in horror, half in awe. Sam lowered the bat not like a victor, but like a man who'd carried through a choice he'd already made long before today. Maya stepped closer, her voice low, urgent. Sam stepped back. He nodded, steady eyes still locked on Dale. The officer knelt, dazed, humiliated rage burning behind his pale eyes. But the power was gone. The crowd had seen too much. Some laughed when he muttered. Show's over, his voice cracked empty. He limped back to his car, drove off under a sky that suddenly felt clearer. The crowd exhaled whispers, breaking loose. Did you see that swing? He had it coming. Phones captured everything. The story had already left Main Street before the squad car even turned the corner. Weeks later, people were still talking. The video spread online, some calling Sam a hero, others saying he'd gone too far. Friends from out of town messaged him. Strangers offered him peaches at the farmer's market. A few crossed the street to avoid him. Maya had to answer questions at school from neighbors, even from reporters. Her mom, proud but worried, told her, noise fades but truth doesn't. And Maya knew she wouldn't trade silence for comfort. Sam was questioned too in a bland little room at the sheriff's office. He walked in calm, left calm, but he knew the department was twisting words, already trying to protect the badge. He'd seen it before. Didn't bother him. He'd made peace with the cost before the bat even swung. One evening, he found himself back outside the bakery. Maya was behind the counter laughing again, reclaiming her place. She waved, came out, shook her head. I still can't believe that day happened. Sam looked out at the street, golden in the sunset. Some days don't ask for permission, he said. They just demand something from you. They stood there for a while, quiet, both knowing the story would outlive them. In Briarwood, where folks don't forget, people would always remember the afternoon when a man with a bat drew a line in the dirt. And the thing about lines, once they're drawn, the town has to decide which side it stands on. So now I'll ask you, if you'd been standing there, would you have stepped in or would you have looked away? Do you think Sam was right to swing? Or did he cross a line too? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story isn't just about Briarwood. It's about every place where silence can either protect injustice or break it. And if this hit something in you, hit that like button, share it, and subscribe. Because the more we keep stories like this alive, the harder it becomes for anyone to pretend they didn't see what happened. Done. Word count comment 4.7. Phù hợp độ dài video 8-10 phút đúng nhịp kể tự nhiên của người Mỹ.